Hey everyone, and welcome back to another installation video brought to you by Rockford Fosgate. As always, I'm Rico Felice with the Rockford Technical Training Institute, and in this video, we're going to take a look at the installation of some of our new Harley-Davidson motorcycle-specific products. So let's go inside our R&D department and see how these products are installed on the motorcycles. Alright guys, I am now joined by Brad with our new product development team, and he's going to walk us through the installation of our new front fairing audio kit on this 2012 Street Glide motorcycle. So Brad, what specifically are we going to be installing to this bike today?
We're going to be installing our TM400X4 AD amplifier, a pair of our new TMS 6SG front speakers, and we're going to use our RFK HD amplifier installation kit.
Cool. Alright, well let's get started on the install and see how it goes. Alright guys, so before we get started removing the front fairing, we want to make sure that we protect the front fender in the event something falls and doesn't get scratched up. So we're going to use this pad to cover it and protect it.
Now with the front fender protected, we can start by removing the 4 T27 screws on the back side of the front fairing. There are 2 located up by the speaker and 2 located in the lower part of the fairing between the front forks. Next, we're going to move on to removing the windshield. We're going to start by removing the 2 T27 screws on the outside.
Now once these are removed, we're only going to loosen the center screw. This will allow us to take the windshield off, but help hold the fairing in place until we're ready to take it off completely.
With the windshield out of the way, I can now remove the last screw that is holding on the fairing. With the screw out of the way, I can now remove the fairing and unplug the headlight.
Alright, so now that we have the fairing removed, we're ready to go ahead and remove the factory speakers. To start with, we're going to disconnect the factory speaker wires and then remove the 3 screws holding the speaker and their adapter in place.
With our factory speakers and adapters out of the way, we're now ready to install our new TMS 6SG speakers. Now when doing so, we're going to use the included hardware and make sure we install them with the terminals at the 12 o'clock position.
Alright, so now that we have the speakers installed, we're ready to move on with the amplifier installation. So Brad, what do we need to prep to get this thing in?
Well, what I did is I went ahead and got our universal mounting plate and our 98-13 Street Glide mounting bracket out of our kit. Now we're going to have to put a couple screws in here to get it ready to go in the bike.
Okay. Alright, so the first thing we do is flip the plate over and locate the guide points for the 98-13 mounting bracket for the Street Glide. Then we're going to align the bracket with the mounting holes and insert the supplied screws. point, we'll take a 2mm Allen driver and tighten them down. Once the bracket's installed, we can flip the plate over. And we want to insert the 2 guide pins on the back side of the plate. These guide pins are going to align with bushings over the top of the radio and help support the back of the plate. After that's done, we're ready to move on to the mounting of the amplifier. Again, aligning the threaded holes on the plate with the slots on the amplifier, and using the supplied hardware, we'll install the screws, completing the mounting of the amp to the plate. Okay, Brad, so now that we have the amp mounted to the mounting plate, what's the next step to be able to get this in the bike?
So the next thing we're going to have to do is remove our 2 T20 Torx screws from our factory radio to get it prepared for our new amp bracket.
Okay, so now that the amplifier is mounted to the radio, we're ready to move to the back of the bike, remove the gas tank and the seat assembly to then be able to run the wiring harness to the battery.
To remove the seat, we're going to use our number 3 Phillips screwdriver, removing the rear fastener. Once removed, we just have to lift up and pull back to remove the seat.
All right, so now with the seat out of the way, we're ready to move on to the gas tank removal. Now to do this, we're going to be removing 4 bolts, 2 1/2-inch bolts at the back of the tank, 2 1/2-inch bolts at the front of the tank, just below. Then we need to disconnect the electrical connector, pull up the vent tubes, both the overflow and the gas vent tube, and then we're going to disconnect the supply line.
With our bolts removed, we're now ready to disconnect our fuel source. Now on our newer bike here, we just have a quick disconnect. On some of the older bikes, they have a different connection and will require you to drain the gas before doing so.
All right, so now that we have the gas line disconnected, we can go ahead and lift the tank off and set it aside. With the gas tank out of the way, we've exposed the wire channel, and we can go ahead and take the cover off the wire channel, which is where we're going to route the power and ground wire to the battery. All right, so now that we've got the wire channel cover removed, we can go ahead, gain access to the battery by removing the ECM module and the 2 1/2-inch bolts that are holding down the battery cover.
With our wire channel and battery now exposed, we can begin to wire our power and ground harness to our battery. We're going to connect it to the battery using our 10mm socket. Now with our battery connections made, we can continue wiring the power and ground harness through the fairing up to the amplifier. Now that we have our wire harness ran to the front, we can now reinstall our wire cover, battery cover, and the ECU.
Alright, now that we have all this reinstalled, we're ready to move back to the front of the bike and continue with the audio connections of the amplifier. We're going to go ahead and wait to reinstall the gas tank and the seat until all of our final checkouts are done on the audio system. Alright, so now back at the front of the bike, we're ready to go ahead and make the audio connections to the amplifier. Now, the RFK HD kit that you're utilizing works from 1998 to current day motorcycles. In the kit, you'll find an input and output harness, as well as additional adapter harnesses. Now, these harnesses are for the 1998 to 2013 model bikes, so you're going to need to use them for this install. All you have to do is simply locate them, plug them together, and go ahead and do the connection at the audio cable.
Now when connecting these input and output harnesses, you want to take note to the labels on the wires dictating what side of the bike they go to.
So now that we have the audio connections made on the factory wiring, we're ready to go ahead and plug the plugs into the amplifier on the appropriate side. Alright, so now that we have the connections made at the amplifier, we're ready to go ahead and make the adjustments. Now on the amplifier, there are a number of controls that we need to make sure that we set properly for the system to work. Now, located on the control panel, you'll find a 2-channel, 4-channel switch. This needs to be in the 2-channel position because this is only a 2-channel system. Next to those, you'll find the crossover controls. 2 switches that are marked HP, LP, AP need to be in the HP position for high pass. This blocks the low frequencies from going to the speakers and prevents them from being damaged. The 2 adjustment controls need to be set at approximately 80 Hz so you have full range frequencies going out. When it comes to the gain controls, included with the amplifier is a quick start guide as well as a setup CD that you'll follow the steps to adjust the controls to the best output based on your radio.
Now with the amplifier completely set up and we've gone ahead and tested the bike and all the systems to make sure they work properly, we can now start to zip tie our wires up and reassemble the bike.
All right, guys, so as you can see, it was a pretty straightforward and easy install. Hopefully you got some good information out of it. And as always, check out our website for more detailed information on the products, or go to our YouTube channel for more installation videos. Brad, anything you want to add before we take off?
If you have any questions before, during, or after the installation, feel free to give our tech support team a call and they can help you out.
Great. Well, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching the video, and I'm sure we'll see you again in another install video.